Is God a Trinity? The short answer, yes, He is. Today we're going to go over an Old Testament scripture and try to prove that point. And we're going to go all the way to Genesis to do it. So, in Genesis 18, 1 through 3, this is God meeting with Abraham. Okay? This is just before the Sodom and Gomorrah incident. Okay, so verse 1 through 3 in chapter 18. Now the Lord appeared to him by the oaks of Mamre. This is Abraham he appeared to. While he was sitting at the tent door in the heat of the day. Kind of like right now. When he lifted up his eyes and looked, behold, 3 men were standing opposite him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them, and bowed himself to the earth, and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in your sight, please do not pass your servant by. So Abraham is sitting in the heat of the day, just like now. He looks up, and he sees 3 men, but one of them is the Lord. So the other 2 are angels. So Abraham looks up, he sees God with 2 angels on his side. And he runs up to meet him, and he begs him to stay. So now we're going to jump to chapter 18, chapter 18, 20 through 22. So, this is after Abraham and God have been speaking for a while about him giving birth to a son, Isaac. This is a new topic. And the Lord said, The outcry of Sodom and Gomorrah is indeed great, and their sin is exceedingly grave. I will go down now and see if they have done entirely according to its outcry, which has come to me, and if not, I will know. Then the men turned away from there and went toward Sodom, while Abraham was still standing before the Lord. Okay, so who is going to go down to Sodom? God is. He says, I'm going to go down there, and I'm going to see what's going on. And he says, and so it says 2 men, the other 2 leave. They already head off to Sodom. But what is God doing? He's still here with Abraham. He hasn't left yet, because there's going to be a discourse between God and Abraham. So that hasn't, God's still with Abraham on this hill, okay? So now we need to go to 1833. And now what had just happened before this point is God tells Abraham that he's going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And Abraham pleads with him that if there's 50 people, good people in Sodom, you wouldn't destroy the righteous with the wicked, would you? And God says, no, if there's 50 people, I wouldn't. And this, Abraham keeps breaking it down until he gets to like 5, 10 people. If there's just 10 people in Sodom, that's good. You wouldn't destroy the whole city because of them, right? And God says he wouldn't, because God is just. He will not destroy the righteous with the wicked in his judgment. And so, in verse 33 of 18, it says, And as soon as he had finished speaking to Abraham, the Lord departed, and Abraham returned to his own place. So Abraham's been begging, and we're begging for God to spare Sodom. Now you got to remember, God is just. If God judges a city, he will not destroy the righteous with the unrighteous. So God, the other 2 angels are already ahead. They've already left. So when God, when he is about to leave, where is he going? It says that God departs from Abraham. Where is he going? Well, we just saw in verse 20 to 22, God's going down to Sodom. So it makes sense that Abraham and God are probably on top of a mountain looking down at the city when this discourse is going on. So God's heading to Sodom now. Okay, so now we got to go to the next verse, chapter 19:1. Now the 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening. So those other 2 men that were with God were angels. In the evening, as Lot was sitting at the gate of Sodom. Now Lot is Abraham's nephew, and he lived in Sodom. This was a big reason that Abraham was pleading with God not to destroy Sodom. He didn't want his nephew and family to be destroyed too. So when Lot saw them, the 2 angels, he rose to meet them and bowed his face to the ground. Okay, so the very first, how many first arrived in Sodom? 2. They're the angels. Okay. And and this is something interesting. These 2 angels, if you continue the story, I'm jumping around because I'm trying to cover as much ground as I can. Continue the story. These 2 angels saved Lot and his family and get them out of Sodom before the judgment comes. So God does save the righteous out from the judgment of the wicked. Just as Jesus in the end times will save those who believe in Him, who are made clean and pure by His blood. He will save and pull out those who need to escape the wrath to come. That is the rapture. Okay? Anyway, so the 2 angels are there. Now we need to jump to 1924. Then the Lord, so this is afterwards. Then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire. From where? From the Lord out of heaven. Now wait a minute. Who rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah? The Lord. But the Lord, is He in 2 places at once here? He's on earth. He was just with Abraham. But it also says He rained down fire from the Lord in heaven. And both Lords here are the unspeakable name of God. This is God here. And it says that God rained fire from God. Okay? So, we got something interesting here. Can God be 2 persons? Can He be the Father in heaven and the Son on earth? You see? So, and now, it says that this right here, what was the point of this? This was God's judgment on the wicked. These people were very vile, evil people. So God's judgment. Now, who can truly judge? Now, let's flip to John. John 5:22 through 23. Okay, now this is Jesus speaking. For not even the Father judges anyone, but He has given all judgment to the Son, so that all will honor the Son even as they honor the Father. He who does not honor the Son does not honor the Father who sent Him. So who is the true judge of all things? Jesus. Jesus is the one who pronounces judgment. Why? Because God is just. Why is God just? Because Jesus is the only one who could truly pronounce judgment on mankind for anything. Because Jesus lived and overcame every sin and temptation that we go through in our lives. Jesus conquered. He did it. Therefore, if nobody else is able to truly judge someone else except the one who overcame it all. Now, I do want to run really fast to Revelation 5:2 because this ties in perfectly to that right there. Okay, Revelation 5:2. This is John in heaven. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the book and to break its seals?" Now, this book has judgments in it. We're beginning to see the tribulation period and stuff. And no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open the book or to look into it. Then I began to weep greatly because no one was found worthy to open the book or to look into it. And one of the elders said to me, "Stop weeping. Behold, the Lion that is from the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has overcome so as to open the book and its seals." So there was one worthy. And I saw between the throne and the 4 living creatures and the elders a lamb standing as if it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes and the 7 spirits of God sent out through the world. So, John hears about the lion and he turns and sees the lamb. And it's Jesus. Jesus is the only one truly worthy to bring judgment. Okay, now let's go to John 8:56 through 58. Okay. Now, there's a big discourse here between Jesus and some Pharisees and Jews and stuff. And Jesus says, and they're persecuting him. And at this point in the story, there was many that were trying to already find a way to kill Jesus. And that's when Jesus says this. Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad. So, Jesus, that's just the first part. So, verse 57. So the Jews said to him, you are not yet 50 years old, and have you seen Abraham? And Jesus said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was born, I am. This is huge statements made by Jesus here. So who rejoiced to see Jesus' day? Abraham rejoiced to see Jesus' day. Who saw Jesus' day? Abraham. He saw Jesus. He saw him. When did he see him? We just saw it in Genesis. So what did the Jews then ask? They say, have you actually seen him? Have you? You're only not even 50 years old and you say you've seen Abraham? How can this be? And then the biggest statement of all comes. Before Abraham was, Jesus says, I am. So this is huge. So number one, he uses the unspeakable name of God, I am, which is the same name used in Genesis that we just covered for God. And so in effect, he's saying, yes, I have seen Abraham because I have always existed. I was there before him. I'll be there forevermore, always. Now let's go to John 8:40. Okay, this is before he says this in the conversation that we just covered. But as it is, you are seeking to kill me, a man who has told you the truth, which I heard from God. This Abraham did not do. So why does Jesus speak here as with Abraham in the present tense, as though he had known Abraham? Because he had. Jesus did speak and walk with Abraham. Jesus is all over the Old Testament. The Scriptures testify of Jesus. That's why when they're always asking him, or telling him your word means nothing because you say it about yourself, Jesus points to the Scriptures. He says the book that you put all your hope in to save you, it talks about me. This is my testimony right here. Those that want to know where I come from, what my purpose is, look here. Look to the Scriptures that you claim are going to save you. It's me that saved you. So, yes, God is a Trinity. You see him in Genesis with Abraham right before the Sodom and Gomorrah incident. So you can also see other passages that attest to this. You see Amos 4:11, Jeremiah 50:40, Hosea chapter 1, 6 through 7. This is more evidence that God is complicated in his oneness. In other words, he's the Trinity. So thank y'all all so much for listening, and I hope to make another video shortly.